let's talk about some possible guys that we have on the list here for the Texas Longhorns. Some guys we've talked about a lot, but I think it's time to get nervous about some of these guys because they've been on the board so long and they haven't jumped in. So that is slightly concerning. We'll see what happens there. The first one we're going to talk about, Michael Terry III, athlete from San Antonio, Alamo Heights. We talked about him a lot. Guys, this is a special player. This is a guy in the class, if we can get him in, you circle and you say in 3 years he's going to be in the NFL. That's the type of player he is. He's long, he's fast, he's athletic. He's kind of got a dad bod. I actually saw a picture of him recently. It looks like he can't drink legally, and I don't think he is, but he looks like he's been drinking a little bit. That's kind of what it looks like. But it's going to come down to Texas, Nebraska, and Oregon. And again, guys, it's going to come down to what he desires. If he wants to be an offensive weapon, an all-around Swiss Army knife, tight end, H-back, wide receiver, running back, he will come to Texas. If he wants to be strictly a wide receiver, he will go to Nebraska. If he wants to be a running back, he'll go to Oregon, which would be an odd fit to me for him. I think that's actually the worst position for him out of everything I listed. I could see wide receiver, and if he truly wants that, I think he ends up at Nebraska because I do think NIL package-wise, it's going to be pretty similar. Right now, I'm going to say 75% Texas. It's still hard for me, guys. Maybe I'm just dead wrong here, but the guy showed up in his senior pictures and has Texas gloves on him and is showing them off. Like, that is a memory that's going to last a lifetime. You're going to have your yearbook forever. Why are you having that if you're not going to go to Texas? But who knows, man? I don't know with these kids. Next up, Graceson, Littleton, cornerback from Tampa, Florida. This is a new offer. He decommitted from Clemson about two and a half weeks ago now. And Texas has been hot on the trail, especially and with teams like Michigan. Check out those guys. They do a great job on the Voice of College Football Michigan channel. It's going to be Texas or Michigan. He visited Texas this week, really liked it. I think right now I'd go 55-45 Texas over Michigan. We have to get this guy. We don't really have another cornerback in this class that I feel great about getting. I think he's our best option. Caleb Chester's already in the class. We'll see if he sticks. I think he will. I haven't heard any chatter about that, so I think he's 100% locked in. Elias Hicks, I'm terrible with first names, but Elias Hicks was in the 2000, or is it Zeus? It's Zeus Hicks, sorry, was in the 2026 class. He's a safety. He's coming in the 2025 class, so that helps us out a little bit. But we already have a safety back there as well with him. I forget the name. Sorry, brain fart, but this is a guy we need in the cornerback room. Do we have some young guys at cornerback that will step up next year? Yes. And by the way, Kobe Black is playing very well, so I'm not really concerned about quarterback for next year, but it'd be nice to have a guy like this that could sit a year, develop, and then in 2 years we play him a lot. And he's great mold, 6 foot 180. Exactly what PK likes. Long, athletic, rangy cornerback for him. And I think there's a chance Texas gets him. Javion Hilson. The longer this goes, the worse I feel about it because I thought 3 months ago now, I said, I think he's coming to Texas, and I think it's going to happen quickly. It has not happened quickly. I do still think Texas leads here, but he did visit A&M. He said he liked A&M more than Texas, the game day atmosphere, so that's definitely going to play a little bit of a role. And I'm going to stand by what I said last week. I believe the winner of that football game is going to get a college football playoff ticket punched and an SEC ticket punched, and they are also going to get Javion Hilson. So you're going to get a upper 4-star, which probably going to end up being a 5-star player. Plus, you're going to get a college football playoff ticket punch. Plus, you're going to get an SEC championship ticket punch. That is a gigantic game versus Texas A&M for multiple reasons, like I just said. So I think it's going to come down there. If we get him, you have Smith Orogbo, Lance Jackson, Javion Hilson, Josiah Sharma, Myron Charles. It's one of, if not the best defensive line classes in the country. It's probably the best edge class in the country. So it'd be a hell of a get. Pairing him up with a sophomore Colin Simmons would be a hell of a get if we could do it. I'm hoping we win that game versus Texas A&M and hoping we land Javion Hilson later that night or even that day because I think that's what it's going to be. Next up, Joseph Mbachu visited Texas multiple times. I'm not sure if he's made an official visit yet, but multiple unofficial visits. I think Texas ends up with him. I think out of the guys in the Peach State that we've talked about recently between him, Justice Terry, and Kevin Wynn, I think Joseph Mbachu is the most likely to commit to Texas. He is not an instant impact guy, but he's still going to be an impact player at Texas down the road. I really like his frame, 6'5", 275. He can play inside, probably play a little bit of outside too, like Alfred Collins did for a little bit. But we'll see what happens. Kevin Wiley, also pretty recently offered in the past, I believe, 10 days. linebacker from Florida, 6'4", 225 pounds, long, rangy athlete. Texas has been doing this on the defensive side of the ball. They're getting long, rangy athletes that they can mold into football players, and they're kind of playing no position type football, kind of like basketball is nowadays. They kind of want a versatile type defense, and he fits that mold. I don't think he plays right away at Texas other than special teams, but down the road, again, this guy could play. And then to me, if I could have anyone in this class, it's going to be this next guy, Michael Fasusi. This is the closest thing to Kelvin Banks we've seen in recruiting that has wanted to come to Texas since Kelvin Banks. Can we flip him from Oklahoma? I don't know right now. I still give Oklahoma the edge 60-40, but it is closer than I thought. He has picked up his speaking with the Texas staff. If Oklahoma does not make a bowl game and they fire Bill Bedenbaugh, he will be at Texas. If they don't make a bowl game and they keep Bill Bedenbaugh, I still think they give them a slight edge. But it's hard to walk into a place like that and just see how, unless you think, hey, I'm that dude and I can turn this thing around, I don't see how he goes there, but who knows? I'm still giving them a slight edge there because he does love Bill Bedenbaugh. Next up, Justice Terry, Georgia, Texas, Bama, Auburn, number 2 defensive lineman in the 2025 class. Texas got on the scene late, and I honestly think they're just using Texas for leverage. I'm going to be completely honest about that. I've said that, actually, the whole time. I think he ends up at Georgia. I just don't see him coming to Texas. I think we were too late in the game. He wanted us in the game, by the way. He's the one that reached out to Texas. All signs point to as this is a leverage play. I think he goes to Georgia. Unfortunately, he's a hell of a player. He's a guy that would plug and play right away. He is the equivalent of Michael Fasusi up the offensive line. He is the equivalent of that on the defensive side of the ball. Justice Terry is. And then Dorian Brew. Like I said, if Oregon and Texas were the exact same distance from home, he's going to Oregon 9 times out of 10, maybe 10 out of 10. But because Texas is closer, Texas can promise him and his family they can come watch the football games. I think that is the key here for Texas to keep hitting on, and I think he may flip. We've seen this with Texas. They flipped Anthony Hill late. They flipped Ty Anthony Smith late. They flipped Kelvin Banks and Cam Williams kind of late. So we'll see what happens here. They flipped Terrence Brooks late, who's now at Illinois, but cornerback, let's see if we can get lucky again and flip him again on National Signing Day. I really hope we do. It'd be a hell of a get. If we get Graceson, Littleton, and Dorian Brew, we'd be talking about one of the best cornerback classes in the country. So
college football is even more exciting with some action on the line. And the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Let's start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread. I've got a 40-year track record. In fact, in 2023, at $100 played per game, you would have netted over $9,300. And guess what? I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill, our ace in the hole, show stopper from Wager Talk. 6 years with the Voice of College Football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick, which went 21-5 against the spread the last 2 seasons. I repeat, 21-5 against the spread. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Steve Dace and Matt Zemek. Become a YouTube channel member or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2024 a winner now.